Now, as I said earlier, the president is converting the former country club GOP to the party of blue-collar Americans. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal the other day that was fabulous. It said that Trump is accelerating the movement of working-class voters into the Republican Party. See, this is the movement. This isn't Trump. This is the America First movement. He's creating a Republican Party that now represents middle and lower-income Americans. And he's reframed and reestablished the old Whig Republican agenda to appeal to those voters on trade, immigration, foreign affairs, and in many cases getting rid of 50 years of failed Republican donor-based gangster-bankster Wall Street policy. In turn, the Democrats, here's what Trump has done. The Democrats now are increasingly the party of America's wealthiest cities, the coasts, the post-industrial business leaders, and the woke professional class that wants social justice. We want jobs. They want some kind of woke justice. Now, this political transformation means that new U.S. college graduates have few friends in Washington to protect their economic interests in a shifting economy. So to give you an example, the GOP now represents more middle and lower income Americans than it did a decade ago. When all the U.S. House districts are ranked by median income, the new Republican America First Party represents, get this, 58% of the lower income half of the spectrum, up from 39% of lower income districts a decade ago. Think what Trump and the America First movement has done. We went from Republicans in wealthiest areas to Republicans in the poorest areas. You think about that shift, right? I mean, these are just numbers. That can't be disputed. And it represents 34% of the higher income half, down from 45% a decade ago. But the shift exasperates average voters' tension with the Republicans' wealthier leadership class. Do you see what is happening here? And this is, I'm tying this together with the Republican impeachment vote in the Senate. You have Republicans that are not comfortable with this shift. So there's tension between our America First base, the people that show up at the rallies in Dallas, and those coming up. I think there's one in Tupelo, Mississippi, and things like that. They're nervous. They're nervous because they're not comfortable with this set of voters. They're comfortable. Like when Romney went to NASCAR. Remember when Romney campaigned at NASCAR? Romney campaigned, he did exclusive events with the owners. He never went into the circle. He never went into the pit. He never went into the infield with the trailers. He's not comfortable. So what does he do? He goes with the owners. He goes in the owners' suites. That's Mitt Romney. That's the Republican Party that they're comfortable with. Bankers, Wall Street. Now, the share of white GOP members with college degrees has dropped from 40% in 2012 to 29% in 2018. While non-college grads climbed from 50% in 2010 to 60% in 2018. Think about that. White GOP members with college degrees dropped from 40% to 29% in a 6-year period since Trump took over. I mean, these are stunning numbers, folks. These are stunning numbers. Now, let me give you some other thing. These new college graduates have yet to find economic allies in the pro-migration Democratic Party. This is why we got to hang in there, why we're going to be successful. Because, let me just give you an example. Dick Durbin, Tricky Dick in Illinois, is backing a bill, legislation, that would allow U.S. and Indian companies to bring in roughly 100,000 India white-collar workers a year. Think about this. Right? Now, Republican Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, who I love, blocked Durbin's bill to skyrocket transfer of U.S. college job to Indian grads. So Durbin is trying to get a bill to get 100,000 Indian workers into the U.S., white-collar, per year. Whose jobs do you think they're taking? They're taking your kids' jobs coming out of college. These are white-collar jobs. These aren't, the migrants come to pick the strawberries. I don't think so. These are white-collar workers. Think about this. This is what's at stake here. This is why I have to tie this in. This is why the vote in the Senate is not a done deal. Senators want to go back to where we can just import low-wage workers into the United States and pay them less money and get more donor money from their base of donors in Lower Manhattan. You got to tie this together, folks. Right now, the only thing that these senators fear is a primary. What if this trial in the Senate went beyond the last round of primary challenges? What do you think had happened then? You got to think all this through. That's why I am ringing the alarm bell on impeachment. This is real, and here are the reasons behind it. So Kennedy blocks Durbin's bill. So then you got, guess this, then you got Senator Mike Lee, another country club donor-based Wall Street Republican from Utah. He's got S-386 for U.S. college grads and families. This is another bill to import Indian white-collar workers into the United States, saying there's a labor shortage. Really? If your kids are coming out of college, don't they want to get jobs? Meantime, Uber, right, everybody's favorite startup company, received federal government approval this year for 300 new H-1B visas, work permits intended for jobs requiring specialized skills. This is compared to 150 in 2018. So they're laying off. Uber is laying people off. But then why do they need an H-1B program? If you're laying people off, why do you need HB1? Sure, because they have to pay them more. They have to pay your kids coming out of college more than they pay the kids coming from India. So this is, again, it's about slave, cheap labor. So you're an investor, you're on Wall Street, you're a hedge fund, you're any of these people. Any of the paper pusher class, any of that gangster bankster class, you're going to give money to Republicans that import cheap labor. Now, you can't do it any your whole China ruse is blown up in your face. You've been playing that card for 2 decades, getting in cheap labor, shipping our jobs. Now, Trump called you bluff on that. Now the answer is, well, let's just import our own cheap labor. Let's get our own slave labor. Unbelievable. This is what we're fighting. This is why we're at risk. It's not about Ukraine, or it's not about quid pro quo or any of this other nonsense. If GOP senators have a chance to get rid of Trump so they can go back to the lap of their donors unabated, and they can save their butt, they'll do it. That's what I'm afraid of. Do you trust them? If you believe in the America First agenda, do you trust them? They've been screwing us for 50 years. Do you trust them? Ask yourself that question. Ponder that while I go to a word from our sponsors. I'm your Godzilla of the truth in America. Stay with us.